Welcome to the R.E.A.L Podcast, where hosts Shane Kilby and Duane Murphy dive deep into the world of real estate agent life. From overcoming hurdles to celebrating success, join us as we explore the journeys of industry veterans and rookies alike. Get ready for bi-weekly episodes packed with advice, feedback, and mentorship from the best in the business.
So today we are live with none other than a good friend of ours, Steve Murnin. And to give you guys a little insight to this episode of Real Estate Agent Life Podcast, Steve Murnin currently, or most recently rather, because he's now enjoying a rather laid-back, leisurely role. Most recently, he was a senior VP at Commissions Inc., otherwise known as CINC to the folks that have been around Commissions Inc. for quite some time. Leading impactful training mastermind for agents. He was a former VP at Fidelity National Financial with decades of real estate expertise. He was key in CINC's partnership with Reach 150 that helps agents boost their agent referrals. He has led CINC University, which has been known for the practical agent and actionable insights for agent growth and development on the platform and just real estate in general. Steve's got over 44 years, and I may be missing some, but over 44 years of transforming real estate with innovative solutions. Renowned for his energy, passion, and authentic leadership. I can attest to that. I know Duane can too. He is a proud family man with a beautiful wife, Lori, 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren, if I haven't left anyone out. He's dedicated and has lived a dedicated at least 44 years of his life in helping agents master their craft and succeed in the industry. Some would consider him, as well as myself and Duane, a trailblazer in integrating technology and client-centric strategies into real estate. And he's always been known to be a champion of growth, guiding agents to master their craft in elevating their real estate careers. Welcome, Steve Murnin.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't get all that out in one breath. So
you did great. I don't know where you found all of that, but that's fantastic.
Lots of digging. Did I miss anything?
You really didn't, It's been a long career in real estate. It's kind of all I know. And I'm really glad to have had that opportunity to do that. I think it's provided a great living for our family. It's provided me the opportunity to get to know thousands of real estate agents, brokers, lenders, anybody associated with the industry across the nation. And, I think for me, we say I'm kicking back. I'm now the CEO at Retired, as I put out there on the notice. But I think the big thing for me is the ability to have been involved in several different projects over the years, and generally all with the same people. So my kind of good feeling about where I'm at this point is when you go to somebody and you say, hey, try this, I think it'll work, and they try it and it works, right? And then you say, hey, I'm doing something new, try this and see if it works. And you do this 3 or 4 times with people throughout a lifetime, and you create lifetime relationships. One of the things I think everybody did figure out is I tell the truth, not real fancy. I just kind of blurt it out, and I will always try to help. That passion's, like I say, it's provided a great opportunity and lifestyle for us. So yeah, that's it.
So take us back up. We got 44 years. We may not be able to cover all 44 years, right? That's a lot of milestones in there. But take us back a little bit in a backstory of how did you get started in real estate? Where did you figure out I want to be a part of this industry for 44 years before I sail off into the sunset?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked that, guys, because I think this will be helpful to people listening. And they're thinking, is real estate for me, or how do you do it? Or, it seems weird. You don't get paid. You don't have insurance. There's all this stuff about real estate that people don't really know, because I don't really know too many kids who grew up going, I'm going to be a real estate agent. That's what I'm going to do for a living when I'm 8, I don't think so. They wanted to be like astronauts or firemen or something, right on the back of the fire truck. That isn't a bad idea, right, Duane?
No, it's more fun than you know.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I was going to school and I wanted to play football, and I got hurt, and they said, you're not really big enough to play anyway, and you're probably not going anywhere. You're not that great. So you should probably get a job. That was my doctor's advice when I was 18 years old. And so I got into a sporting goods company because I liked sporting goods, and I worked there And I worked my all way up to an assistant manager, which you feel really good about this job, right? Because you got a big title, you're helping run a store. I wasn't making any money, and I was working Saturdays and Sundays, and I was missing all the family events. And I walked in the door one night, and my daughter, Michelle, who's my oldest now, she was at the top of the stairs, and she said, "Hi, Steve," and ran down the hall. And it just hit me like a brick. And I said, I don't ever see my family. She doesn't even know who I am. Like, I'm her dad, right? And I'm not doing this anymore. And so at 20 years old, I just said, I'm going to do something different. And there was a guy, his name's Ellis Eborn, R.E.A.L National Real Estate, 33rd South in Salt Lake City, Utah. Everybody can check out everything I say. It's true. There's, records of it. He was coming in our sporting goods store, and he was buying boats and guns, and he had a Lincoln Continental, and he always dressed nice, and his family was really cool. I'm like, I want that. Like, that looks like something I want. And I asked him what he did, and he said, I do real estate. And I said, that looks cool. And he goes, well, tell you what, I got a licensing program, and if you'll go through, I'll reimburse you for your license if you join me and you pass the test. And I'm like, deal. So I quit my job cold turkey because I didn't want to interfere. I wanted to get my license as fast as possible. Got my license, and then I got lucky. When you say lucky, everybody goes, oh, I don't believe in luck. You make your luck. Well, I do believe we make our luck, but sometimes when we meet people, you never know who you're going to meet, right? Well, this guy was a great broker. He told me I could have this amazing 50-50 split if I came in every morning at 8 o'clock for training and then worked all day with him and did the things that he told me to do, and he'd make me a lot of money. And I said, cool. So he taught me how to list. I went in and we did listing presentation over and over and over again. He's the first guy. He videoed it and showed me the video back. It was like very horrible experience at the time, right? Like, I can't be that bad. And because we're hardest on ourselves, right? And so long story short, my first 18 days in real estate, I took 5 listings because I just went in and called. I walked in, I had a desk, I had a mirror, I had a little vision board with my goal up there. I had no chair, and I had a phone. Now think about this 44 years ago, right? We didn't have leads. We had a little MLS computer that printed out on a dot matrix printer. The paper just kept spiraling, and it was expireds. And then other than that, now this is going to sound really weird to people watching that are younger. We had a phone book, and they literally opened up the phone book, the white pages, and put a finger and started dialing. You want to talk cold calling, just called up, and Tom Ferry or Mike Ferry or all the golden people out there that have all these scripts will tell you I was a big guy on scripts, and my script was this. You guys are going to laugh. So this is kind of funny. I used to say, hey, this is Steve Murnin. I'm with R.E.A.L National Real Estate. I'm calling about the sale of your property. And I didn't say anything else. Out of the phone book, people go, well, we're not selling our house. And I'm going, well, what have you thought about it? Well, yeah. Okay, well, let's see. I'll be in your neighborhood on such and such. I'm going to come over on Thursday and spend 15 minutes together and see what this looks like. Literally that was my script, and I did it over and over and over again. And so in my first year in business, I was really fortunate. I just kept doing that. I didn't know what a team was. We didn't know what teams were. But my broker was smart enough to say, you need to keep listing. I'm going to connect you with a couple agents in the office, and they're going to do all your buyer stuff. They're going to handle the open houses. They're going to make sure the listings get marketed. They're going to follow up. You need to just keep going to appointments, right? And so I took 63 listings in a year, and that's all I did. And people say, well, why did you go so hard? Well, because we were buying groceries on a credit card. I had a baby. I thought I was rich when I got married. And then I found out, I wasn't. And I quit my job. I had no income. I had no options. You take people's options away, they get a lot more serious really quick, right? And so I just enjoyed the heck out of it. It was so much fun. And then that kind of leads into my next story. I don't know if you want to go there or...
No, absolutely go there. I did want to, kind of drop that. No, you dropped several nuggets in there, but one that just stuck into my thought process right off the bat of many was, this guy gave you a killer opportunity at a 50-50 split. Do what I ask you to do, show up when I ask you to show up, and hustle, right? And today, like Duane can attest this, and I'm sure Steve, you've heard it too, like the split conversation in this industry is like all over the place. And we all know it's not about the split. It's about the value proposition and what am I getting in exchange for that split. In your situation, some agents today would go, oh, that's a terrible split. But in reality, you were probably exchanging a PhD level knowledge and skill set in exchange for that split, which took you to, 63 listings in a short window of time. So that is, and a testament to, if you listen to this or download this podcast at a later date and time, if you're a new agent, a veteran agent, like, it's not about the split. It's like, what am I getting in exchange for that split, right? Like, you may have a great split and you get nothing in exchange for it, and that's fine. And then again, you may be getting a smaller split, but you may be getting a wealth of tools and knowledge and expertise and training, hopefully, that you are leveraging. But if not, consider that before you start bouncing around looking at other options, because you may have the gold right there in your lap. That was good. And the scripts, man, that I was making a note of that. So I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that script today. Like, that's perfect. Like, some things never change. Some things never change. So
that's
I decided to dive into those.
You nailed something, because I'll get into my brokerage here in a little bit, but people are easily distracted by the wrong thing. It's really easy to be distracted by the wrong thing. And the wrong thing is when a split conversation comes up, you're talking a totally wrong question. The question you should ask is, how much money can I make? And it doesn't matter. And you're exactly right. I would have paid him more. I won't tell him that at the time now, but you're exactly right. It was just, he asked me, how much money do you need to survive for your family? And what do you need to do to make your car payment, your house payment, get going? And I told him, and he goes, we got that. We'll get you that. And just do this. And it was an absolutely great exchange, right? So people ask the wrong question. They should be asking, how much money can I make? What's my goal? What am I going to do? And then if somebody helps you get there, for God's sakes, work with them and help them. And it's a team. It's a partnership. Everything in life is a partnership, right?
Absolutely.
You mentioned Lori. We'll get into that probably. We've been married 47 years. Same lady. So high school sweethearts.
That's awesome.
So the next step in the adventure was, I was lucky that 57 of those homes sold. And so as I was selling them, there was a guy, and he owned a Century 21 franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where I was doing business. And his agent sold the majority of my homes. He had over 100 agents, and he was just killing it. So I was in his office all the time. And strange enough, like I say, you never know who you're going to meet or what's going to happen in life, right? So always be open. Never, ever doubt that someday you're going to meet somebody that something extraordinary is going to happen from it. And so I get this phone call. It's like 10:30 at night. And he goes, hey, Steve, it's Chuck Zimmerman. And I'm just wondering what you're doing tomorrow. And I said, I got this, and this. And he goes, hey, I got an idea. You've been in our office a lot. I'm the broker there. I've said hi. And I realized who he was. You couldn't miss the guy. He was an ex-professional fighter. He was 6'3", 255 pounds. And he fought a guy by the name of Ron Lyle. Any old fighting fans are out there. And the guy, Ron Lyle, put him in the hospital. And he said, I'm done with boxing. I got too many internal injuries. I'm going to go into real estate. So, and you probably could get those injuries in real estate too, but just joking. But anyway, he said, get together. So long story short, I go to his office and he goes, hey, I got a guy flying in tonight and I'm going to talk to him about a business adventure. And I think you'd be perfect for it. And I said, oh, what is it? And he goes, well, have you ever heard of franchising? And I said, well, yeah, I know Century 21's a franchise. And he said, well, they're starting a new one called R.E.A.L. It's a guy by the name of Jim Jackson. He's out of Kansas City, Missouri, which is another great story. Most people don't know. Jim was getting ready to retire from Farm and Land, where they used to put out a catalog of farms and ranches across the country and mail the catalog out. He was the founder of that, and he had sold it, and he was good. And they ousted him 2 years before, and he lost all his retirement and everything. And it was really weird. And this guy's almost 70, and he starts ERA. So his concept was Century 21 is a percentage franchise, 6 and 2, 8%. And then ERA was going to be a flat fee, but they offered similar things. And so long story short, go up to the Salt Lake City airport with him. And this plane flies in, private plane, and on the bottom of it had an ERA logo. and lands, and we meet Jim Jackson and his son, Mike Jackson. And they said, how would you guys like to buy Idaho, Utah, and Nevada? And you'll pay us X dollars, and then you own the franchise, and then you go out and sell to real estate brokers, franchises, and bring them in. And then they pay a flat fee, and then you get 90% of that, and you pay us a 10% royalty, and you can build a business. And looked at each other and went, that sounds pretty good. And Chuck goes, I'm a really good salesperson as you are, but he goes, I've seen your strength is in the training side. So as we bring these people in, I want you to help them implement the franchise, right? And get it going and make money with it. So we bought it, Utah, Idaho, and Nevada, and we put in 57 franchises in 3 years. So we had pretty good luck with that. And I was traveling Idaho, Utah, and Nevada, and meeting all of those brokers and working with them and helping them grow their business, right? So that kind of got me into where I'm in life now, that particular adventure. But we even started a program there. You can look it up on the ERA website. It's called Top Gun. So what ERA was known for was really good initial training, right? So you get these companies and people say, oh, they're great, go get trained there and then go somewhere else and make more money, right? Well, then people quit doing what they were supposed to be doing in the first place, and they don't make the money they were making. You know, the whole game, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
People
get
do that all the
distracted.
time, right? It's like, well,
Yeah.
like, are you doing what you did to get there? It's like, well, I
Yeah.
stopped
No,
doing
and
that.
they quit.
It's like,
And
go back to what got you there. Like, why'd you stop doing what made you successful? And so many people fall into that trap. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it a different way.
yeah.
The original way.
Yeah, I'm going to change everything and then hope it's the same.
Cool.
But I'm doing what I was doing. Okay. So anyway, with that, we were about 3 years in, roughly, right at that point. And we got a call one day and they said, hey, we got the opportunity to buy Washington back, because before there were what were called all these independent service brokers, like we were, selling the franchises on behalf of ERA. And then the guys in Washington wanted to sell. So that owned it. And so we went up there from Len Ledoux in Washington, and we bought Washington. So I moved there. That was the first time I moved out of Salt Lake. I moved to Spokane, Washington, which Lori hated because it was cold like 11 months of the year, right? 90 miles from the Canadian
It's
border.
not like cold weather.
Yeah, it was like Wisconsin, Duane, if you can. Yeah, like 7 was a great day in the winter. So it's up to 7. So she's a warm weather beach person. So this wasn't a good move from that standpoint. But I went into Washington. We sold the first 12 ERA franchises in Washington and got a call. And the Jacksons had said, hey, we're going to sell ERA. And we're selling to the guys who bought Coldwell Banker and Century 21 out of New York. And might be a good time if you guys are looking at it. They want to buy all the independent service brokerages back because they want to own it and run it as a company. And so they flew out, they met with this, they wrote a number down on paper. I had no idea that there was that much money even available in the real estate industry. And we looked at each other and said, we're selling. Like, why do you grow a business, right? You grow a business so you have someday an opportunity, either leave it to somebody and they can make money, or you sell it, right? I don't know any other reason, but so we sold it. And Chuck said, hey, I'm going to Arizona and I'm going to get involved in this diet thing. And it's a franchise and you might want to go with me. And I said, no, that sounds not fun at all. I don't want to live in Arizona. I don't know anything about diets. And so he started Jenny Craig in Arizona. He was the original franchisor. He did pretty well, I'll say. So it might have been smart to go with him, but I stayed. ERA asked me to stay on. And as they were buying these service brokerage back, go in and help them set up the business like we had it as a franchisor, and teaching them the training program and all of that kind of stuff. And so I thought, oh, that sounds like a good, solid job. And I moved. They wanted me in Denver because it was a good hub, because I serviced everything west of the Mississippi. I had all of the franchisors. There were about 1,100 of them that I interfaced with. So real estate brokers and owners. So I moved to Denver and I lived there for 4.5 years, and I was with ERA for 15 years. So that was another deal. I thought short stint, might go back into real estate because I liked that. But I ended up 15 years. And part of that job, you know how companies are, when you work for companies, they're like, we're going to change all the territories. That you're going to call it the whole West because you can run everything. And then they're like, no, we're going to departmentalize and put you in a region because it's too much territory. And they changed their mind. And funny enough, all these things were around Thanksgiving and Christmas for me. Every single time I made a change, I don't know, it's just ironic. And so they called right at Christmas time, the owner, president of the company, Matt Kevner, and he said, hey, Murnin, we're going to break this up. They're going to do regions. We want you to go to one of the new regions. You have a choice. You can go to New York, Texas, or California. And so I thought about it for about a half a second. I'll be in California Monday. Didn't want to go to New York. Not an East Coaster. I love the New Yorkers. They're fine. I get along with them fine. Texas is just way too far from a Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, and, hot in the summer and cold in the winter. Great state. Got a lot of friends there, Bill Helton and all those guys. But, so I said California. So I moved, and that was 37 years.
That probably helped the 47-year marriage.
Yeah.
Right. Because you did mention that a certain someone loves the beach. So
Lori was very excited.
Texas doesn't have much of that. In New York, I don't know if you call that a beach.
Same.
No.
Yeah. When you're laying out in New Jersey, it's way different than when you're laying out on the beach. Yeah. Big difference.
Probably a smart, that sounds like it was a smart business move, but it's probably a smarter marriage move than anything.
Well, marriage is still business. It's still part of the business, so it's probably just as good a business move as it was a personal move as well.
Yeah. So that sorry it took so long to get there. I just thought it would be fun to.
Oh, this is what we want to bring to the listeners. This is the real meat and potatoes of the real estate success industry or lack thereof. So this is good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. And another, I guess, thread in there after living that many years and doing this is it's so weird when you start to really realize every day there's opportunity, and it depends on how you look at things in life. And if you're looking for the opportunity, gosh, you find it. And if you're looking and you think it's horrible and it's bad, it will be. Like whatever you decide is what you're going to become. And so I looked at all these things, and it's funny. I got brought up. I was a Catholic kid in Utah, which is an interesting story just to begin with, and kind of like it there. And strict parents, and like I didn't get out of the backyard till I was like 12. So they were very strict, raised me, and they always told me to be polite and say no. Like if the neighbors offer you a Coke, don't take it. Like just say no and come home. Like okay. So I was taught to say no, right, to stuff. And then as I got into the business world, I went, that's the wrong approach. I got to say yes to everything. I got to meet everybody. I got to talk to I got to listen to everything. You never know, So all of these things that are popping up, I say you're lucky that you hear about them, or you're there, or you're in the right place, right time, all the things people say. You make your luck. And so they said, California, I came out here. But when I moved here, I wasn't crazy about the corporate life. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, and so I was an entrepreneur there, and I got in big deference with the owner or the CEO. It was a stock-held company at that time, Nick Galitas. He used to flip condos in Chicago, and his sister was Angie Galitas Carey. She was married to Hugh Carey, the then governor of New York. So that's a whole interesting story, but they were running ERA, and they were really nice people. They were great to me. The corporate structure was just like that. He asked one day, we were in a room, there were a whole bunch of us, and he said, why are you here? And a lot of the people gave fluffy answers like, oh, I love the company, and I love all the people, and the culture's amazing, and, all the fluffy shit people say. Got to me, and I said, I'm here for the money. And he took me out in the hall and he goes, you can't say that. And I'm like, why are you here? Like, why did you guys invest your money? Like, And he goes, yeah, but you can't say that. And I said, the hell I can't. I'm here for the goddamn, you don't pay me enough money. I'm leaving. Like, dude, I'll do my job, So that we kind of had a little difference in opinion. And so I decided to go back into real estate. And I had a gentleman out here, his name was Lee Dana. They said started a little company called Network Real Estate, and I bought it in 50% owner and quit that job and went back into the private life and went into real estate. And we had an interesting concept from the past experiences I had. We had an ERA franchise, and so we put together what we called the 3-in-1 marketing plan with a rocket ship on it, kind of appropriate today, right?
Yep.
A guy that would, I could have talked to him about this, but, and it stars and all this, but the idea was we have a national, regional, and local marketing approach. And it's the reason you should use Network Real Estate, because we have more resources than anyone else out there. And that was our marketing presentation for buyers and sellers. And then, of course, I had gotten into technology with ERA. That was the Electronic Realty Associates. And they started with a fax machine. Really interesting. They had 2 products. So talk about old stuff's kind of fun, I tell my grandkids all this stuff and trying to, teach them about Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island and stuff.
Payphones.
Yeah.
I don't think
payphone hunt.
Yeah, I catch myself in company meetings or in reflection or talk sometimes, and you just brought up the fax machine, so it just brought up a memory. But right, it's like sitting there late in the evening waiting for this counter offer, this accepted offer to come through on the thermal paper, right? And then the thermal paper wears out, and then, oh, by the way, if it came through on the thermal paper and then like you didn't copy it right away, this, after a while it just disappears.
Right.
Like disappearing ink. I'm like, y'all have no idea of what it's like to sit in front of a fax machine at 11 o'clock at night, waiting for a counter offer, an amendment or something to come through, and just waiting to hear the tones.
8 minutes. A guy by the name of Shelby Ernstein from actually brought the fax machine in for Jim Jackson and said, that's how we're going to do referrals. So instead of your old farm and land catalog, if I had a referral for you, Duane, I'd fax you the information, and then you'd sign the agreement and fax it back. Awesome. And that was our referral network. And then we had a home warranty program, and that was about it. Those were our 2 major tools when we started. But then we got into training and technology and automated presentations and all of that. So long story short, at Network Real Estate, we enabled our agents. We got them all on laptops. They all had a PowerPoint presentation. We didn't have phones and iPads then, just laptops. So we did laptops, and we did a lot of our training on laptop. We saved a lot of our training programs, started to save them on computer or video. And then that's how we trained our agents. So,
it sounds like that was a step back in time, which it is from today's standpoint. But there are days now I'm like, it would be so much easier not to have 37 different tools and technologies to have to man, and everybody in your organization's like, hey, how do you do this? And I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. That's an upgrade that took place yesterday. I have no idea. So it is, the simplicity, and it's like a lot of times, with agents and stuff, it's like, well, I don't know much about technology. I don't want to know about technology. I want you guys to handle all that, talking about our brokerage and stuff. I'm like, unfortunately, the consumer has it faster than we do in a lot of aspects. And they dictate like what technology we're going to use today and tomorrow, because, from our organization standpoint, we've never wanted to be the group that says, well, we don't do it like that here. We've always adopted the mindset of we haven't before today, but we do now. We're going to figure this out. So we make sure that we provide you with that level of service, or the experience with that technology that you're used to. We're going to go out and get it today and master it in the next 24 hours and be able to provide that service to you. But it's even like our relationship with, or where we met at Commissions Inc. is even since, like, I think this is the 12th year or something, 11th. No, yeah, going into my 12th year on that platform next month. And it's like, wow, the things that, like, that was a Mercedes when we launched that platform, and it still is. But all of the things that have come since that is like we spend so much time teaching, coaching, training agents on the technology alone, not just the skill set of real estate, but just the technology alone. And it's amazing how much difference it is today in far as simplicity goes from technology speaking standpoint, but the activities are still the same.
Yeah, you're right. You made two really great points there that I think listeners would like to catch on and hear. Is number one is, I've heard a lot that, hey, this technology is going to replace real estate agents. And I'm here to tell you it's not. It's always going to be personal. It's these connections that we make. They make all the difference in the world. And everything that's ever come my way has been by meeting somebody, having personal interaction with them, learning from them, growing. But I will say this, the reason I got into it and got big on understanding it was, it isn't that technology will replace agents, but the agents who understand technology will replace the agents who don't. That's a given. Like, it's knowledge, and it's change, like you said. So that was like one big point. The other one is having good mentors is really important. And like you say, honoring those mentors and being loyal to them and sharing with them, being partners. If they get paid, so what? I don't really care. We care that we both make it, right? That's the right attitude. But with that said, a really good mentor of mine once said, don't major on the minors. Don't major on the minors. So the little things, like you just said, technology, and let's use CINC for an example. Like, they came out with AI and they got behavioral messaging and they've got Listcast and they've added all of this stuff and all these features. And it's like, when we do CINC University, we taught one thing: understand the software enough to figure out who the lead is, what their name is, and get their phone number. Pull them up and use this script and have a conversation, go meet them, list their house and sell their house. All the rest of the stuff, it's fluff. Don't worry about it later. Like, if you can do that, you're going to succeed and be able to feed your family and help people. And if you don't do that, so, don't major on the minors.
That's it. That's a great point, Steve. I always tell agents all the time, right? I've been on, with CINC as a platform as well, just about as long as Shane, and right, a lot of years, way before I launched my brokerage. And I tell agents all the time, right, with half these tech tools, almost all the tech tools, right, it's like, you don't need to know 100% of it. Use the 20% that's going to move the needle the furthest, the fastest, and concentrate on that 20%. The rest of it is bells, whistles, fluff, right? Because it's used to, right, either sell more platforms or it's fill someone's need or whatever. It's like, but 20% of any technology like that, I mean, is what's going to move the needle the most, right? And then there's all the other refinements or other little pieces you can add in, but it's like, focus in on that 20% that's going to give you, 80% of your results. And, and like you said, picking up the phone, it still can't be replaced by technology.
Yeah. That's where, sometimes I didn't make a lot of friends along the way in some cases, because somebody say to me in the training, I want a whole session. I want to spend hours. I want to build out all these email campaigns and I want to send all these people all this stuff. And I'd be like, no. Do you even read email anymore? It's a piece of crap. Like, I get thousands of junk. I don't even do email. Like, I'm old. I should be the guy doing email, like, and being excited, but I don't do email. Like, people text now. It's this really weird thing. They read text 95% more than they read email. All right. Adapt, listen to read the room.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so let's see. I think another thing that'll be helpful there, along what we're talking about, is getting back into real estate, is growing a business. With that plan, we had a definite plan. The very first thing I helped them with is having a business plan. So it's really funny now. I ask agents all the time, like, do you have a business plan? Oh yeah. Is it written? No. Yeah, I wanted to see it. You shocked, right? How many people don't have, and it doesn't even have to be crazy. It just has to be like, what's your purpose? Get a good book like the Apple book about why that they wrote, and it'll tell you in there. All great companies have three things. They have a what, You got to very quickly be able to articulate somebody what the hell you are. Because people go, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm a technician. It's like, oh, well, I have no idea what that meant. So, have a what, then have a how. You got to tell other people this is exactly how you do it. Or if you're going to get involved, here's the step by step, because it's easy if you don't, unless you don't know how, right? So that's why people say, I have a hard time with the computer. Well, it's easy if you don't know. It's not easy if you don't know how. It's hard. It's only easy if you know. So it's step by step. And then the last is most important is a why. Why do you get up every day? If you guys could see around my office here, you can kind of see one of the signs I live by in life. I've got 4 signs on the wall I live by. I'm that weird guy with all of those little weird sayings. But I got pictures of all my grandkids. And I got my grandson at Cal Berkeley, and we're going to, help make sure he doesn't have to take that burden of $55,000 a year. Oh,
Right.
Dad, I want to do things I want to leave them something, right? So days are tough and things are hard. And I think, God, I just look around at the pictures and go, I'm not failing. I'm not going to fail those people, right? So you get your why down, and then, and that's just it, and kind of bullet out. Like, what are you going to do? There's verticals in real estate, right? And so the verticals are like sphere of influence, or past clients, or referrals, or leads, or sphere marketing, or general geographical marketing, or whatever you're going to do. They're all verticals. And the hard part is everybody usually tries to work them all at once. Yes. Another wise mentor once told me, you'll do 1 thing well, 2 things maybe, and 3 things not at all. So do not spread yourself so thin that you can't do it. And that's a huge thing I see over life, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that 80-20 rule. It's like, 80% of your income comes from 20% of what you do each day.
Yeah.
So lean into that.
Yeah. And that's why I listed and got people to help me with the open houses and all of that. Take the buyers and give them a split. You pay them. Like, it was no big deal. Like, I got a little bit off each buyer, but I made my money off my listings. It's like, don't try to hang on to everything. Just let it go. Just focus in on what you're going to do. So with that, we had a real focus on the business, and we worked really hard and had a really good group of people and a good market in California. It's a beautiful state. We don't want to get into discussing the state too much, because I think it's the second weirdest state in the United States after New York. But thank God for New York. But real estate was good. We grew over 30 offices, had little centers, went into smaller towns, not the big city of San Jose, for an example, but maybe Morgan Hill or Gilroy or surrounding areas, Los Altos, whatever, and put in a market center. And the goal was to have at least 10 agents in each of those with a very small footprint from cost perspective. And so it made money, right? Because we wanted to have profitability. So we set up a budget, made money, set about 300 agents. Our last year in business, we closed 1,100 transactions. We were one of the top 3 companies in the Silicon Valley at the time. And companies like Compass and other real estate groups started to say, hey, we want to buy real estate companies. The fastest way for our to grow our footprint is to just buy a big company. So again, weird things happen, right? A guy shows up, talks to us, says, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to buy your company. We're like, okay. So got together with them, and they made a just stupid, ridiculous offer of a bunch of money. And I said, we're selling. That's why you grow a business, right?
Yeah.
So I sold network real estate 23 years ago. It was great for everybody. And here's the really cool part. The guys that bought it, network real estate's like 5 times bigger than it was when we had it. It's still there.
It's still there.
They really grew it. They did a great job with it. Credit to Bob Allen, Felix LaCapria, and that group. They took it. They ran it. They've done a great job. They're really great people. So that worked out good for them, worked out good for us. And we close in California, opposed to like the East Coast and that with attorneys, with title companies out here. We open the escrow and go into the title company and they close the transaction. And so I knew the title people really well. And R.E.A.L Marine, one of the officials at Fidelity National Financial, lived in my little town of Morgan Hill. Lori and I were having dinner one night, sitting in a restaurant. R.E.A.L walked in with his wife, Dina, and said, hey, Murnin, I hear you're selling your real estate company. And I said, yep. He goes, what are you going to do next? And I said, no, I haven't decided. I'm going to do something. I'm young, so I get 40s. I got to do something. And he said, oh, I got an idea. Come to my office on Monday. And instead of saying no, I just said, yep, because who knows, right? And so I went and met with him. And he said, we got this idea. We just bought a little transaction management company and we're trying to get it off the ground. And we think you'd be perfect. You understand technology, you understand real estate, know a lot of people. Would you take a look at it? So I'm like, sure. So I flew down to Southern California and I looked at this thing. It was called Transaction Point at the time. Today it's called SkySlope. Yeah, really interesting, right? So I spent 4 years, almost 5 years, building the transaction business for them. And we had 2,200 offices on our software in that short period of time. So I had pretty much a lot of fun doing that. That's how I got to know a lot of brokers all across the country, as I got involved in that project. And it really opened up the market to me. Back to the ERA days, I met a lot, but a lot of guys are my age and they're dead or gone. So the ladies. But so I got back into that. And then we decided, well, it's bad in a company to be a one-trick pony. So we probably should have another department other than just one. So I took my little team and we built out a project where we helped title people go out and get more business from real estate people, because I understood that pretty well, And the old title philosophy was buy them a calendar and a donut, and, take them to a football game, buy them a boat, all the stuff that became illegal to do. And so, it's like, well, that strategy's out. So what are we going to do next? So value add was definitely the answer. Like if I could meet you guys and I said, hey, Duane, what's your biggest challenge right now? And you go recruiting. And I could say, oh, I got 3 programs I want to recommend to you, this one, and it'll help you manage the recruits, do this, do that, whatever. So we developed over 100 products that Fidelity partnered with where we could deliver value. So Palm Agent, it's the number 1 real estate app in America today. It's a net sheet and it's super great. It calculates everything. It does marketing now. Like if I were showing you a home and you said, I like it, and you say, well, what would you offer? And we put in the offer. It already has all the taxes and fees and insurance and county fee. Everything's all in there. And you just hit the button, put the price in, hit the button, and it says, okay, this would be your down, this would be your monthly. What do you think? And they go, well, that monthly's a little high. And you go, what do you want to do? So we adjust the monthly down, and then it shows them what price of a home they could afford. Well, you can't afford this one, but we could go show you another one. I got a couple more, right? It is the coolest app ever.
Yeah.
But anyway, we just developed a whole bunch of tools and then went out and met with real estate brokers. So I signed a 5-year agreement to do that. Put the title people after the doing the transaction thing, and I ended up doing that for 15 years.
Wait, like this, honestly, I'm not typically, I'm not at a loss for words, but a lot of times I'm having to button my, but I'm just intrigued from this whole story because I knew a lot of your history and a lot of your success and just you as an individual. Like I was giddy like this morning. I'm like, I hope he didn't forget, right? Because he retired and I wasn't going to hold against you if you did, like that's just part of it. But I was like, man, I hope it still works out because this is every time we've had an opportunity to have just conversations like this, it's just been the greatest moment. Because it's so much history, right? And you understand all of everything that I've gone through and then some. Probably I'm a walk in the park, and Duane and so many others, right? So it's like, like you get it, and a lot of times, like when we're working with vendors and that's like they want the business and they have their own struggles and strife and hurdles and obstacles that they deal with. They don't necessarily, or many of them don't necessarily know what we deal with every day. They know that their goal right now is to sell us a product or service, right? Not necessarily, I guess they are trying to help us solve a problem that we have in our business, but they don't really know it from that granular level like you know it. So it's very, very, very enlightening, very enlightening.
4 things from what you just said. It's really great to have these conversations. You guys have no idea. I learn as much from everybody I talk to. If you listen, you always learn. And 4 things there. You said, this will be good messages back, hopefully. Well, number 1, never sold anything a day in my life. You serve, you don't sell. So what you really got to understand is meeting people and finding out what their real need is and what their real challenge is. And if there's some way that you can assist in that, then you can partner and you both benefit, right? And it's fair for you to both make some income or however that works out, right? So the second thing you said in there was really important there. Friends are forever and business is temporary. I told you guys that all the time, and I really believe that. So I would do this in a second. I'll never forget you guys. You guys have been great to me. You adopted me when I got to CINC, which is where we're at, is in this part of the story. Next thing to that is this is the difference maker. Meeting people and having conversations and listening. And sometimes, this has gone on a long time. I've got to be careful here. We'll wrap up. But it's you listen in a long time, but man, the stuff you can pull out of this. I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast where he talked to a gentleman who just is becoming fairly important in our country now for 3 hours. I listen every minute. And it's funny how many times I paused that now and I've gone back and listened because there's just nuggets in everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we met is when I was doing that with CINC or with F&F. R.E.A.L Marine, same boss who's been there forever. He's a Western Regional President of the company, called me up and said, hey, we're going to Atlanta. And I said, what the hell did I do wrong now? Why am I going to Atlanta? I'm buying this little company, Commissions Inc. Have you ever heard of it? And this is a true story. So what is this 8 years ago for me now? And I said, no, never heard of them. And I hadn't. I've been in real estate forever. I didn't know who they were. And he said, oh, you heard of Boomtown? I go, oh, yeah. And I know Boomtown. I got a guy here in town that's on Boomtown. He goes, very similar company. They're just different in strategy and they're competitors and we're buying one. You can't tell anybody. I want you to go on the plane with me. I want you to see what you think. We think you'd be useful over there. Like, okay. So I flew to Atlanta and met everybody and I looked at it and I went, this is awesome. I mean, the lead generation business, I think back, this is full circle now, right? When I got him pointing at a phone book, that shit was okay. This is like shooting fish in a barrel.
Fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Right? I'm like, oh, smokes, where was this? And so I was so excited to be selected out of 21,000 employees as the one they wanted to be involved there. And so Randy Quirk was the president of Fidelity. He retired. We had a really good long relationship too. And now he's doing consulting with R.E.A.L and he's in charge of their technology. Randy was there. He tried to get me to move to Jacksonville 3 different times because the Fidelity headquarters are in Jacksonville. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I really appreciate the offer. So Ray told me, he goes, by the 3rd time, if you don't go, he's going to write you off. Like, you got no upward mobility. And I said, what you may not understand is I don't want any upward mobility. I'm like, I'm really good right where I'm at. I'm not trying to get anything else out of this company. I like what I'm doing. And so I didn't move. So the story is, I'm telling this because the first meeting in Atlanta, I had moved there. So when we purchased CINC, when Fidelity purchased CINC, I made the commitment I was going to go full immersive. And I think that's probably another good message for people. Always full asset, don't half-ass it. Right?
McConaughey says it a lot now. Oh, Matthew McConaughey uses it a lot.
Yeah. So just go after it. So I moved there. I lived there for 31 months. I wanted to meet the people. I wanted to know who worked there. I wanted to meet the clients. I wanted to experience the product. You need to know it if you're going to do it. And because that's the bottom line is if you believe in what you're doing and you have these conversations with people, they know you do. You can, babies and dogs, they sniff people out really well. Like if a dog doesn't like it and a baby doesn't like it, it's like, watch that person, right? Well, you good business leaders, you sniff it out pretty quick too. You can tell, like if somebody's misleading you, right? And so I wanted to know. So anyway, I moved there, got involved. It's been an amazing 8 years. Somebody said to me the other day, well, what's going to happen to CINC? And I said, nothing. They were there before I got there. You don't understand. I'm just another person. Like I passed away. They're fine. It's the same product. My training team's the same training team. They've actually gotten better at what they do. So there's no difference. Life will go on. Just do what you're supposed to do.
You say that, but at the same time, right, even though the company will go on, the impact that you've had on that company and the impact that you've had on the lives of so many people that you've touched, mine personally for sure, there's no way it can be summed up that easy. No way, right? So like on everything that you have shared about your past and doing, and again, one of the most amazing things, that I should ask you the question of what you're most proud of at CINC, because that's the most recent adventure that you were on. I mean, every bit of that is just the God-given gift you have to build connection and to meet people where they're at, and then connect people like, hey, right, like, you got to meet this guy or you got to meet this gal because, like she knows this or he knows that or he can help you with this. And right, I mean, it was your connection and influence that, right, led me to help, Magnolia Realty with some of the stuff that they were doing down in Texas. And right, when Chip and Joanna were trying to do the franchise and roll out the brokerages and a call department and trying to figure all those pieces out. And that was, right, just one of many examples of where you were just connecting people and meeting them where they are and just serving them, right, in the way that you did best, right? You're cutting yourself. I know you're humble by like a umpteenth degree, but you cannot sell yourself short on the impact that you had on. Is that company going to keep going? Yeah, sure they are, right? Is there? Will there ever be another Steve Murnin? Not of that company, no way.
Steve is the great connector.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen, my friend. There's only one of you, and that does not get replaced.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. And, I know I'm a little different. When we had Summit and the guys that we were working with on the crew that were doing the show said, you need a walk-up song. We're going to start doing walk-up songs. And I said, what's that? And they said, no, when you walk up to the stage. And they said, what's your walk-up song? And I said, I don't have one. They said, we'll pick it. And they picked Wild Thing. And I thought, I'm a little different. It won't be the same. It'll be different. There's just no doubt. And that's kind of everything in life, stuff changes and it's maybe never the same. It's going to be different. Does that make CINC better or worse? Nothing. It has zero effect. They're who they are and they're going to be fine. They'd be smart to find another person that builds relationships. And there's some great people out there, that build relationships. I mean, for gosh sakes, you guys or Mike-ish or Chet Black or Buffini. I mean, just look around. There's tons of really good people who understand the value of a relationship, right? But thing probably I'm most proud of is 15,000 people we saw in 8 years face to face. That's the difference. Tech companies are not warm and fuzzy. They're like, call Taiwan and try to get help. Like, good luck. You bought it. Hope it works. It's like, that will never work. Like, it's never going to be the ultimate. So when I got to CINC, real quick, because I know we're way over. When I got to CINC, there were 2 CEOs at the time, and I was still looking at it. That's when Ray flew me out. I was looking at it. Nobody knew any of this was going on. Not even my team at F&F. Nobody knew. And the first thing I said to him after the first meeting was, give me a list of your 100 clients, 100 top clients. And I gave them a list of things I needed. I wanted to see their financials. I want to see this. I want to see that. I wanted to know what I was getting into, right? Because you don't want to make your last stop with the company failure, right? So I called a lot of you guys and I went and visited some of them and I got to ask. And the first thing was really funny. They go, well, all of our clients are kind of on the same thing. We don't have top clients. And I said, yes, you do. I said, that's not true. You got top clients. I don't know how you classify them or consider them. They're your clients. I don't know them. It's your list. Give me a list of 100 people. And they're like, what do you need it for? I said, that's none of your business. I'm just give me the list or I won't come here. Like, so that's what I did. I started calling them. And then when I got involved, we surveyed you guys. I don't know if you even remember this, but we sent out a survey. You may or not answered it. I'll have to go back and look. Surveyed. And of the respondents that responded, we said, how do you want to learn about CINC? How do you want to be trained? How do you want to be supported? And we said, do you want webinars? Do you want recorded videos? Do you want an account manager? Do you want live training? What do you want? Like, went a whole list of stuff. 86% of our clients said they wanted a live training. They wanted to meet somebody face to face and have them help them. So we went CINC University, that Lance started. It was already there. We're going a whole different direction. And so in 8 years, we were able to get to 15,000 people face to face. And then this was a real key. These things all tie together, because what you learn, you keep doing the same things if they work, right? And so we had a great what. We were a lead generation company that had a CRM, so you could manage your business, and we generated leads, right? Pretty simple to explain really quickly. And then we had a great why, because we got up every day really believing we could help change people's lives. We'd seen it. We'd seen clients grow and do what you guys have done, amazing accomplishments and that, but we didn't have a how. I would walk around the company and say, well, how do we do this? And nobody had the same answer. And I'm like, we're screwed up. This is not good. So we wrote the CINC method to success. And COVID was very helpful with that. So when you're doing live training and your boss goes, you can't go see people anymore. You can't go in the training room. And I'm like, why not? And he goes, well, there's this thing and you can't go. And I'm like, well, that's really stupid. And so, that's what I do. And so April and May, we closed down in 2020 because we couldn't do them. I started again in June, by the way. I was back at live training in June of 2020. No one died.
I remember I was a part of those. And
I was going to say, I think both of us were in, right? Because I've been to 3 or 4 universities, maybe 5, but a few less than Shane, but I can remember one right after that COVID period, and everyone is all spaced out and following protocol, and it was weird, right? It's like, where's everyone else?
In addition to coffee cups and pens and stickers and that, we had to buy masks and hand gel. There was just other swag we had to add to the package, but we went. Because Randy Quirk had said, I can't go. And I said, you don't understand. Our company's so small. And if I don't go see these people and we don't build it, we could lose it. Like, we're not a big company. There's not, there's 4,000 people, like that. It's not huge, but so long story short, if we didn't go, it wouldn't have been good. So he said, okay, well, if you go out and get somebody sick and we get in trouble, you're fired. And I said, that's the deal. And he goes, yeah. And I said, we're in. We'll be in Phoenix and June. So we went to work. But out of that, this is the last thing I'll share with you guys, and maybe we can do something else another day because it's too long for people to listen to. But we said we don't have a how. We got to have a how. So I bought a book, and I bought a book called The 12-Week Year, and you guys have probably both read it. And in the 12-week year, the reason the book was good for me, because I'm not super smart, in the back of the book, it actually tells you how to do it. It's like, how do you do a 12-week year? And I'm like, buying this. They wrote it down for you. There's steps to follow and stuff. So we came up with a similar, we had to have one goal. Our goal was, we want somebody who joined CINC. I'm brand new. I just joined whatever it is. I just joined whatever I joined. And I want to know how I can make money. How do I do it? How do I actually make this work? And so, we said, that's our goal, is to write it out. We didn't care how long it took, if you could explain it in an hour, if it took, a month. We didn't care. We didn't have time frames, anything. And we just said, don't look at the past training, throw it out, rewrite everything. And so I was the client. I played you guys in this role, and we met every day for the 12-week year. And we had, mile markers along that 12-week year. Like they tell you, well, this has to happen in 30 days. This has to happen in 60 and 90, so on and so forth. And I said, I'd say, okay, tell me what to do to make money. And they'd start. I'd go, no, I don't understand that. That's stupid. If I do that, I don't know this. I don't know how to find a lead. Like, all right. And now I got a bunch of agents. Like, how do they get the leads? Like, and so we just grilled. And what we found out is for me to be able to get with you or anyone else and explain the how, it takes 20. So how do you spend 24 hours with somebody and give them all the information they need? So we broke it down into 3 8-hour days, because we did CINC in 1 day. We did it in 2 days. We did it in 3 days. We did it in 4 days. We didn't really know. We just did it hoping, right? Hope's not a great strategy. Well, we did. That's what we did with our weeks off, is rewrote it and literally came up and said, day one, when you start, this is the very first thing that you do. And here's how you do it. And here's the system. And it's all about database. Number one's your database. And that's in anything. If an agent right now today if they don't have a database of 100 people they know, they're probably not a great candidate for real estate. You got to know at least 100 people, right? And if you don't, you better start meeting them, right? I got 8,500 contacts in my Outlook, just to give you an idea. So you build them over time, right? So you get in your database, call those 100 people. You say, hey, Shane, Steve, how you doing? I just wanted to follow up, man. This is still the right number. That's great. What's going on in your life, right? You got a minute? Just catching up. Oh, by the way, I happen to still be in real estate. Know anybody needs any real estate help? Nope, not right now. Great. Well, I'm having an event on such and such. I'll send you a notice. Is that okay? Yeah. Just have a conversation. Call those. You get 2 pieces of business out of those 100 people. Just calling them to catch up. Guarantee you.
Absolutely. Guarantee.
Right?
Just had that same training call with an agent yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's what we were working on. She had 80. She was working to get to 100. I'm like, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so yeah, we just wrote it in a database, and then automation, because life is chaotic and we get so busy and there is so much to do that you've got to have an automated assistant. You got to have somebody who'll do your mailing, somebody who will reply to a client at 10:30 when you're not going to behavioral messaging, whatever the case may be. And there's all kinds of automation in the software. So just get the key pieces set up. Don't send up a bunch of stupid emails. But if they're on your site and ask you a question, respond, for goodness sakes, right? And if it's not you, we got an AI assistant. And then last but not least is you can have the best database system in the world. You can have the best automation in the world. But if you don't get on the phone and call them, talk to them, you're going to starve to death. So we did a whole day of conversion. Yes. But that's what I'm most proud of. We came up with an actual method to success and helped 15,000 people understand how to do it. And I got friends all over the U.S. and Canada who are making money with this thing. And, it's bled into other parts of their lives. Like you said, networking, meeting each other, new ideas, maybe get into lending, all kinds of other things you can do, right?
Well, if it wasn't for that platform, I wouldn't have the connections with either one of you guys that I have today. And, Duane and I, we've created just little, mastermind groups. And like Lions Den, we created Lions Den to mastermind CINC events so that we could, instead of going to an event and getting a wealth of knowledge and going back and implementing nothing, right? Or that one, we wanted to hold each other accountable to implement 80% of what everybody took away from it. So a lot more of those connections spun off of that platform and the people formula that you help to build inside of that company. Like the CINC, that's probably the biggest reason that we're still with that platform today. I mean, aside from it being a great company to work with and the culture's great, but it's those hands-on face-to-face. It's like when I bring a new agent in, they think they're coming in to sell real estate. And when I discuss with them CINC University, and it's like, what is it? I'm like, just every one of them, I'm like, trust me when I tell you this, because they're like, well, can I do it online? I'm like, you can, but it's not the same thing. When you come back, I want you to sit down and have a conversation if I'm not with you, and I want you to tell me what you experienced there. And it's always the same. It's like, belief, conviction, culture, connection, like the people, the relationships. I've got people I can reach out to refer business to all across the country and vice versa. I said, here's one magical thing in addition to this, like when you get there, you believe it or not, you're going to know more than some of the folks that have just signed onto the platform from what we've taught you. Then you're going to need to see a lot of folks that know a lot more than you do, agent-wise. And the cool thing about it is, as you go in and reach back to help someone that's just come in the front door, just got to log into CINC, you're going to have someone reaching back to help you, take you to the next level of that platform. So it's those things, those are the key reasons that why we still, lean heavily on that platform today after, I guess we're going into 12 years now, into 12 years. So
well,
absolutely.
If you did brain surgery and the doctor was going to zoom in online and Duane was going to actually do it and the doctor was going to zoom in and help him, would you want to do it online? Online,
no.
a little different than in person, right? So
Duane's attention span, he might not be the best reference for that. His attention span is that of a goldfish.
Yeah.
But,
anyway, but again, just personally to me, thank you guys. Friends are forever. I really appreciate it. And it's really funny. You did the smartest thing ever, because in those big groups, you got a lot of people and you get a lot of ideas and you go and you write them down. And then it's like, man, I didn't take my 12-week year and stop and implement anything. And now I'm not any further ahead. It was amazing. And you broke it into a small group of actionable people, held each other accountable and implemented after the fact. And that I applaud you. That was the smartest thing ever. That was great. I was all,
Well, you brought a great, the CINC events and then the masterminds, and it's like, and those were like intensive and even
drinking from the fire hose, right? I mean, there's so much value, right? And so much that was thrown at you and hit with you, and the people that were guest speakers or that were teaching or whatever it might be, right? There was so much stuff, and Shane and I had chatted after many masterminds, like, holy crap, like, right, like there's so much to do, so much to get integrated, and where do you start? And right, and that like Shane said, that's ultimately where the Lion's Den came in, was like, okay, how do we integrate? How do we implement this stuff? And because there was always so much stuff, and you go to the next mastermind 6 months later, or whatever it might be, and you're like, damn, I didn't do anything for the last one yet. Yeah. And now I'm getting all this new stuff. I still got to do the other stuff. And now I've got all these other new great ideas and things I need to implement and do. And it was just so much. But I mean, a lot of that truly, Lion's Den and just that next level came from those masterminds you put together at Commissions Inc. at CINC. I mean, that was literally that big one, because there's industry events, but there wasn't truly a lot of masterminding going. Now it's a little bit of a buzzword, but it just, you kind of really put on the map for a lot of CINC clients, right? So it was huge.
I repeat what works, right? So when I was doing the transaction management, not a lot of people were actually doing online automated transaction management. In fact, it was kind of scary. Like, I don't have any files anymore. Oh, no, you've always got your files now, and actually can easily find them. They're not stored in a warehouse somewhere where you got to go look for them for like 3 months, right? I said, no, it is different, but it was scary. And so it was like, and you're this guy trying to sell me this thing. And I've always said, if it works and people are doing it, I don't need to sell you anything. Talk to them, right? So I did the masterminds back then, but my idea of a mastermind's a little different than when you hear mastermind, you go and there's like 6 or 7 or 8 speakers. I mean, and you get all this stuff thrown at you. It was really important to get you guys in a room and just facilitate it. You guys pick the topics. Tell us what you want to talk about. We'll try to gather people that can help each other. Let you guys meet each other. Ask questions. Say anything you want, and really mastermind, really talk, meet each other, grow relationships, and then, get in and out. That mastermind's been a lot of fun, but it's a little different to me than what a lot of people think a mastermind is. You hear it all the time. Like, that's not a mastermind, but again, back to you guys, did the right thing. Implement. You can learn. And at some point you just got to go, you know what? This may not be perfect and it may not be right yet. I'll keep working up. I'm going to do something rather than do nothing. And
absolutely
doing it. And if you're on the right track, you find out pretty quick. And if you're on the wrong track, you find out pretty quick
too.
And you got to tweak it, and that's where people don't make adjustments. And it's just like, adjust a little bit and go and just keep going. That's why now I've got kind of a little part-time gig thing lined up that I'm doing with Fidelity in the title group, back to where I started, because I'll never stop. I think when you stop and you give up, you got no interest.
Be careful not to sign a contract that states you're going to give them so many years, because next thing you know, right, you're going to be like, oh, okay, yep, I'll sign this. I'll give you 1 year, and then
I'll be 90.
Your history is going to be like, you're going to be 90. Be like, yeah, okay, I guess I fulfilled my 1 year contract.
Yeah, so I'm still just trying to get to another Green Bay, Wisconsin game, man. Green Bay Packers. That was one of the best days of my life. So
that was,
and I got to make it to Alabama. I got to come see. Come through it. Just when the weather's going to be good and there's no bugs, and I'll be there.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, right now it did make it to 28. This morning it was 10, so we are climbing. Thank goodness. I think Duane said, yeah. What did you say earlier this morning? So, yeah, I think we made it to 0.
Yeah, we made it to 0 today finally. So I mean, it was negative 11 yesterday, and then with negative 35, negative 45 wind chill. So
that's brutal.
Intolerable.
Lori, you guys know her. She's weighs 100 pounds wet. She's a little teeny, great shape, no body fat, So we go outside and she goes, oh my gosh, it's really cold tonight. And I'm like, it's 50. That's summer in Wisconsin. You need to move. You need to go back to Spokane for a couple of years, girl. You don't understand. You become soft, Thanks again, guys. Super appreciate this. I hope it's helpful in some way to you guys or other people. Be glad to do it again one day. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
I had the good fortune of just living a long time, meeting some really great people, learning a lot of great things, super great experiences. And like I say, talking to my 6 grandkids, that's what I try to do all the time, is just share with them life stories and ask them mind-disturbing questions, so they have to think about things a little bit more than the average person. Because if you really do ask yourself the hard questions and hold yourself accountable to those, it makes a difference in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. So if someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, shoot. I'm on Facebook. You can find me, Steve Murnin, on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Steve-Murnin, at Steve-Murnin. Be glad to, anybody that ever wanted to call me, me, I pick up the phone. I still think it's personal. So 408-396-4688. Just call me.
Well, I had the number. I wasn't going to disclose it, but ladies and gentlemen, he is honest to the core. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what you get. And that I am a true living testament to that. That is a fact. That is a fact.
Because I was going to call. Might be some great opportunity one day, So.
Never say no, right? Never say no.
Yeah, maybe not never, but most of the time.
At least so you know what you're saying no to.
A shot. Maybe you say no, but other than that.
Absolutely. Steve, it's been a pleasure today. Everyone that's listening to this episode or downloading this episode out there, if this has brought any value to your day or to your life, please hit that thumb, like this episode, subscribe, and share it with someone else. And until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.
See you guys.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the R.E.A.L Podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for more exclusive content. Keep striving for success, and we'll see you in the next episode.